but it proves one thing, that usually political leaders tell us something in public, and then when they are in private, they say something else. He gave us an interview on what's the name, PM Express with Evans Mensah, and he spoke as a nationalist. The comments in these tapes that we have just played are a clear digression from that nationalist comments that he made in PM Express in that interview with Evans Mensah. But again, these comments tie in with what we heard even immediately after the violence. And I was not here when the violence happened, but last 2 weeks, was the last week or last week, I had a conversation with somebody who knows the inner workings of these parties. And the person indicated to me, look, both parties had people on the ground. You have seen strenuous denial that there were any security person or any party people from the side of the NDC. And when you hear this voice, which is attributed to Mr. Ofosu Ampofo, say that Chief Sofo Azoka told him that, and I'm just quoting something he said, Chief, thank you. I asked him why. He said, if you had not taken the decision, I don't know how my boys would have gone back to Tamale. And then he then says, the issue is that they had brought the Kandahar boys. And the Kandahar boys know, and if you know the Kandahar boys are MPP vigilante group in Tamale.
Militia group.
MPP militia group in Tamale. I think somewhere in 2009 or 2010, 5 of them were actually arrested, prosecuted, and sentenced. These Kandahar boys. Now, this voice says they brought the Kandahar boys, and the Kandahar boys know our boys from Tamale, which means that both parties had imported these mercenaries from other parts of the country into Ayawaso West Wugon for a by-election. Why will anybody, both parties, MPP, NDC, bring people from anywhere for a by-election in Accra where you have sufficient security arrangements in place? If the authorities were minded, they could place 10 security officers at each of the 137 polling stations in that constituency. And there would not have been any reason. Why would both parties bring these people into this constituency for a mere by-election? And when you have Mr. Ofosu Ampofo in that PM Express speak so eloquently about the need for the parties to avoid these groups, and yet, if this voice is confirmed, when he meets his party people, he's singing another tune, that is the clearest demonstration of the lack of consistency in what the politicians say in public and what they say in private.
We are getting some of the people who these voices sound like. And the NDC also would officially respond to the release of these tapes. And of course, this is supposed to be tapes allegedly from an NDC meeting. So we would soon be getting that clarity on those issues. But that will take us a few minutes to get that. Before we get to the NDC though, Malik, when you get to a point where you hear something like some of them are dead and gone, some of them they are being hunted down, some of them have not slept at home, it may get to a point we may hold parents hostage. That sounds worrying, no?
Precisely what I'm talking about. And I mean, it's a game of politics. So you expect that people will adopt strategies and because they want to protect their political interests. They want to win an election. They want to be in power. They do not want the persons in power who, for the time being, control the coercive machinery of the state to use that against them. And therefore, they are entitled to take whatever measures they need to take to protect and defend themselves. However, that precludes adopting strategies that are in clear violation of the law. And if the voice is confirmed, you should worry that whilst he's complaining about people having been injured, when he's talking about another person being dead, it would seem that he says it with excitement. But if you are a political leader, the life of every citizen, whether or not the person belongs to your party, should be a matter of worry to you. And I believe he would say that publicly. Now, when you hear somebody is dead and you say it as a matter of excitement and pride, whether or not this is Ofosu Ampofo's boy, it is somebody in Ghana who plays a political role. And you hear that some other person is dead and you seem to be excited about it. When at the same time, the reason you are excited is that you think that people who belong to your party have been maimed and injured, and that worries you. But when you hear somebody is dead, that is excitement, and you say whether or not he died out of heart attack, you don't care. And you talk about other people whose parents, it will get to a time where their parents will be the people will be haunted and their parents will be taken hostage.
And that some imams have gone to beg for them.
Daniel, this is not good.
Like, again, if you just joined us, it's 8 minutes to the hour. We just played some tapes. I'll tell you where we got these tapes from. Not where we got them from, but allegedly. These are tapes from an alleged NDC meeting, okay, leaked from a meeting of NDC officials. And we heard the voice one can reasonably say sounds like the party chairman, Ofosu Ampofo, disclosing that they had intel about the NPP visiting violence and rigging the ISO West Wuogon by-election on 31st January. So that's also another leg of the conversation, Malik, that will be interesting to look at. Yeah. The fact that they had foreknowledge of this, allegedly had foreknowledge of this, and what was
and that
done afterwards.
Ballot boxes had actually been stuffed, and we saw some judges' submissions yesterday before the commission investigating this. Yes. He played a video in which he said there was a ballot box somewhere, and there was a reporter of City FM also there.
Let me go on the phone lines and speak with Samson Ladi Ayenini, a private legal practitioner. Samson, as a lawyer, what's your impression when you hear this?
My impression as a citizen, first, not as a lawyer. But you'd be shocked if I told you, and I don't think you should be, because if you are clearly aware as a journalist who has access to information in this country, particularly as far as the two major parties and their conduct, criminal conduct, particularly in regard to this militias are concerned, you should not be shocked. And this is it, that I don't get anything new out of this tape. Whoever it is that are speaking, the language is not something that sounds new to me. It sounds something that they are familiar with. This is something they are used to. I will deal with the aspects that are clearly criminal subsequently. But Daniel, again, if you have heard me say that it will be naive on anybody's part to believe the politicians when they get into the grandstanding about fighting corruption in this country, it will be so naive on your part. It will be naive because you will be someone who does not understand how they finance their activities, how they get money to do the things that they do. Because if you do, you will be very hesitant to believe the grandstanding political rhetoric about fighting corruption. If you get to a point, and as what you're about to discuss this morning also, where Parliament, on one particular law, a law that is so basic and fundamental to the citizens and to the fight against corruption, a law that is important for the effective and efficient fight against corruption, Parliament, for once, decides to publish what it calls a research that tells you that it is so expensive to implement that law, and therefore we have to hesitate in doing it and implementing it. You should ask yourself, what law has Parliament ever passed that has no financial implications? If you are passing a law on the special prosecutor, ask yourself whether or not there is no need to set up an office and to get personnel and so on. Must it be only RTI that the Parliament of Ghana will concern itself with doing a research which you have never been told about they doing for other laws that they have had to pass, and to as it were, postpone the implementation? It clearly tells you how they think. And if you have heard about the conversation about the parliamentarians needing to do things that will win back the trust of the people, this is one of the reasons.
Okay.
Check the millions of dollars that the state is in court prosecuting people for stealing, and ask yourself, the amount of money that we are saying it will cost to pass to implement RTI is just a fraction of that amount. So if it will take you a fraction of the amount of money, to prevent that corruption and stealing, clear theft from happening, why will you not do it and want to now play the people's mind and say, oh, it's expensive to do? And it's taking us 2 decades to work on one single law.
Right.
Now,
So, Samson, yes.
Yeah.
Back to that issue, particularly the points of criminality in what you have heard.
Right. Look, you have, by Article 21 of this Constitution, you have the right, and it's a fundamental human right, to assemble and to association. So people can have meetings, people can belong to groups. There is nothing illegal about that. In fact, it is elevated to a human right to every citizen of this country. But what is not allowed is for that association, for that assembly, to be used as a place or as a point to plan crime. Now, if you say, and whoever it is that are speaking in there, I know you are very cautious about these things and you are looking at legal issues and implications. That's why you are saying, oh, yes, we need to confirm them and all of that. Whoever it is that are speaking, this information elsewhere will first be in the hands of law enforcement and not in the hands of journalists, and check what is going to happen. You will discuss this, people will come deny, and the matter will die. Otherwise, where the matter ought not die, because the people are clearly heard conspiring and planning crimes. You can point as many as 3, 4, 5 criminal activities that they plan to engage in.
Which criminal activities can you take us to now?
Yeah, you just you heard the question of kidnapping people. You've heard about planning for the election and to as it were visit a similar amount of violence. Look, if you take your time and analyze, if a group of lawyers, particularly attorneys who do criminal prosecution, sit and analyze this, I can assure you that from what I have heard, they will come up with not less than 10, charges of crime against the persons who are in this voice. So law enforcement is the one that should have this, tape. If they don't have it, they are the ones who should be calling you this morning immediately, asking for the tapes. They are the ones who should be moving into action and looking for these people and asking the right questions and putting them before the court for the right things to be done. Otherwise, what we do is that we leave these politicians to do these things and put this country in harm's way. So our law punishes what we call inchoate offenses, so that you don't need to have consummated the offense. Okay? You don't need to have consummated what you have planned to do.
Okay.
Inchoate means preparatory. If you are planning to commit a crime and you are caught in the midst of that, those are crimes. And that is what you hear on this state, because you cannot say that from what they are discussing things to do in future. They are not discussing things that they have already done. So, again, of course, things they have already done, you hear some of it, where you are talking about the certain boys who are brought from one end to the other. Kandahar boys have been brought. Azoka boys have also been brought. Brought to do what?
Good question, Samson. I have with me on the other line Sammy Jenfi, the communications officer for the National Democratic Congress, and we'll be speaking to him on some of these issues. Good morning, Sammy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
So did this meeting happen?
If you say that did this meeting happen, let me this way. I think that first of all it's important to put on record that the tape which is being circulated in the media is a doctored tape. It is totally fake, and we will entreat the people of this country to treat it with the contempt it deserves. It has all the trappings of a diversionary tactic, and it is obvious that it is a desperate attempt by this government to divert attention from the latest expose by investigative journalist Anas Arimi Yawanas, which has uncovered some appointees of this government as engaging in illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, and which has also uncovered other corrupt activities of officials of government involved in the so-called fight against galamsey, extorting monies, collecting bribes, and engaging in very despicable corrupt acts. And that is why we are not surprised that our friends from the NPP and elements in this government will introduce this red herring, totally doctored fake tape on a day that video is billed to be premiered.
So, Sammy, you've heard the tape. Is that the voice of Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, your party chairman?
I can tell you that it sounds like the voice of our party chairman. In fact, they allege that was a national communication meeting which was attended by the national chairman. I am the chairman of the national communications team. I chair all his meetings. I know that indeed our national chairman has visited us. He visited us not too long ago. But you see, let me tell you what is happening. Because this government is a sinking government, because they are failed the people of this country. We know how they've become a monumental failure relative to all their flagship promises and the expectations of the Ghanaian people. Hence, the untoward hardships, debilitating hardships that Ghanaians are going through. And so government has resorted to espionage by spying on political opponents. Not too long ago, the office of one of the senior most members of our party was broken into. We are aware that government, in collaboration with the national security apparatus of this country, have planted bagging devices at our headquarters, and they are spying on us. This intel came to our notice a few months ago. And since then, we've been taking steps, to clean the office and all that. So what they do is that they spy on us record meetings, and because they don't find anything indicting, anything damaging, anything which suits their selfish political, interest, what they do is that they slice the tapes, insert their own versions, and then with technology available today, clone the tapes as though, the tapes, the recordings are genuine and authentic, just to achieve a certain end. So, yes, I can confirm to you that government, in collaboration with the national security apparatus, have been spying on us illegally for quite some time. We are aware of that. Very, very, reminiscent of the infamous Watergate scandal involving the President of the United States of America, then Richard Nixon. That is what this government is doing, because it is sinking and it is desperately trying to clutch onto straws. But the saddest and the shameful aspect is that they are not bold to put out what they record. They doctor it, and add things which are not supposed to be there. In fact, I've listened to some of the tapes which are being played, and I can tell you that almost everything on those tapes have been doctored. Those were not discussions held at our national communication team meeting. We've never had any such discussions. The national chairman never made those statements at the said meetings. They are eyewitnesses to it. And so, like I said, it's a diversionary tactic, it's a doctored tape, and but for the fact that reputable stations like multimedia are even, playing it, we would not have even responded to it at all.
Right.
Because it doesn't deserve our attention. Yeah.
So, Sammy, from what you are saying, you believe that you've been spied on, recorded, and that tapes have been doctored or spliced, if I can use that expression, to create a certain impression. That's what you believe happened in this case?
Exactly, and this is not a set of such cases.
Okay.
Only last week or so, another tape came out, and if you compare that tape to this particular tape, you will know that there is no difference. And the one thing, the common feature
let's limit the discussion, Sammy, to this tape. Okay. Yes.
The common feature has been that these tapes are always released through the mouthpiece of the NPP on Mine FM to stations belonging to Kennedy Japan and all that, who is one of the people involved in this, whole espionage, which I've already, spoken about.
Sammy, quick one. There are numerous meetings that are held by the NDC. What would point you to this specific one that was held by the communications team, where you say the chairman visited and you chaired?
Communication team meetings are meetings where trending national issues discussed, topical issues are discussed, and strategic communication positions taken on these issues by the party. So they are very important issues. All meetings are not the same. But we are even aware that this goes beyond the communication team, because as I speak to you now, our security, officials, specifically senior members of our party who have security backgrounds, some of whom have worked in the national security before, tells us that we are dealing with a far bigger problem than we think, because almost every auditorium at our headquarters have been backed by national security, and they've been spying on us. So it is very possible that they have recorded many more, meetings and discussions. But you see, we are not cowards. We are not people who sit in secret and plan the downfall of this country. We don't commit criminal acts or discuss illegal acts at our meetings. And so we will have absolutely no problem at all admitting the things we discuss at our meetings publicly. But unfortunately, they didn't get the courage to put out what they actually recorded. What they have done is that they have employed technology to doctor what was recorded. And so what is being played out there is totally fake. I can tell you, Daniel. It doesn't deserve our attention at all, totally fake. And it is meant, like I already indicated, to divert attention from the latest announce
Army or
announce
announce expose
today. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
But then again, in your earlier submission, even though yes, you mentioned that numerous meetings take place where you believe you are recorded on several occasions, but in your earlier submission, you specifically referenced a communications team meeting that you chaired, which was visited by Samuel Ofosu Ampofo. Why that specific reference?
No, if you remember what I said that it is alleged by the people circulating these tapes that specifically by a gentleman called Gordon Asare, something Bediako or so on Facebook, that this was a national communications team meeting chaired by some agency. That is the allegation. And that is why I'm confirming to you that the national chairman has been visited. You know, he's a communicator himself. He's been communicating for the party for years, even before he became national chairman. And he's been attending national communication team meetings. You understand? So we don't deny that. But what we are saying is that the tapes which are being circulated this morning on social media and in the media are all doctored and fake. These are not statements which can be attributed to the national chairman of the party because he didn't make those statements.
Okay.
He has never made those statements at any of our meetings.
Okay.
But I have told you about the illegal espionage operations of this government, which for me as citizens we must be very worried about. The espionage is something frowned upon by the laws of this country, especially when it involves an incumbent government employing state resources and the security apparatus of state to spy on political opponents. And we all know that. It is something frowned upon by international law and order. And we must discourage that. Government must implement its promises, deal with the free fall of the city, deal with the excruciating economic hardships that the people of this country find themselves in, and solve some of these shameful, illegal, criminal acts. It will not save them, and it will not help them. So the tape is fake.
Great. Thanks for pointing out the reason for your reference to that meeting. So when did this specific meeting take place? This meeting where you chaired and the chairman visited?
Like I said, we've had several meetings since I became the National Communications Office, which have been attended by the national chairman of our party. So it is difficult for me to state that this was a specific meeting and all that.
How many times has the chairman visited your meeting, your communications team meeting after after the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence?
Not less than three occasions.
So on more than 3 occasions, the party chairman has visited the communications team meeting after Ayawaso West Wogon?
That's correct.
Great. I'm going to bring to you some comments that have come through on our WhatsApp console since you joined us on the line. But just quickly to clarify this, would you be willing to put out records of these meetings to clear the air that none of these meetings had the party chairman make such and such statements?
When you say record, what do you mean? An audio recording or?
In whichever way, of course. I don't know which records, how you keep your records.
Put out the records because you see, the issues at stake, issues in connection with the current chairperson of the Electoral Commission, issues involving the governmental complicity in the state-sponsored terrorism we saw at Ayawaso West Wogon, are all matters of public record. And the party has stated its position on these matters already in the public domain, and the things we have stated in the public domain are far more serious than the things which are contained on these, doctored tapes. So we have no problems at all coming out to straighten the records. G. Mensa and the people mentioned on the tapes are people who have been constructively criticized by us, by the national chairman himself, by key leaders of our party already, in the media. And our views on them relative to their competence and their partiality or impartiality. So these are not matters we will run from. We still stand by that. We are not cowards. We believe as a matter of conviction in the things we say publicly. And we can repeat whatever we discuss at our communication team meetings, which are not, criminal or illegal in any way out there. But the facts must be set straight. The record must be set straight that what is being circulated currently are nothing but doctored tapes procured through the Espionage Act, the Spying Act, illegal operations of the national security and this incumbent Akufo-Addo government.
So, Professor Mamu from Spintex says, kindly tell Sammy Gyamfi and the NDC to produce the original tape and puts this matter to rest. Should we expect a tape from you in the near future?
We don't record our national communication team meetings, so we don't have tapes. But like I said, I have records of everything which was discussed there. We normally have not less than 50 people attending national communication team meetings. This is something which has been going on for years. And so putting out the facts is something we will do. We will surely do that. And if there are issues, specific issues that we need to even reinforce, these issues that we've already raised in the past, we are ready to do that. But let the world know that these are the illegal, criminal, and shameful activities that our government is engaged in with the national security apparatus of state.
So what's the nature of records that you'll be giving us then?
Records of what was discussed.
What nature? Are you going to give us minutes of meetings? Are you going to have persons come and give their testimonies?
When we get there, you will know. The party will issue a statement and we will set the record straight and state, in very clear terms what was said by who at this meeting. We will not, and if there are any issues that we need to speak to, we are ready to do that. But we will also not follow this bait, this diversionary, bait for government to divert attention from its complicity in the latest Anazari Meyal expose, which I've already spoken about, because I believe that the people of this country must know the betrayal of trust they have suffered at the hands of this government as far as the so-called claim of a fight against illegal mining galamsey is concerned. The people of this country deserve to know that.
So Yao Intema says, so until this doctored tape came out, Sammy Gyamfi and the NDC did not find it relevant to complain about espionage and bugging of HQ. As vociferous as he is, it's surprising this is now coming out.
This is not the first time that this is coming up, like I've already said. Senior most, member of our party, I can give you the name later, had his offices broken into. That matter has been reported to the police. The police is aware. In this game of politics, if you know that your government is spying on you, and that involves the security apparatus of this country, who do you go to? Because the security apparatus of this country is self-complicit in the matter. So you need to investigate the matter, see how you can clean your offices of these bags and all that. Take personal, private precautions before you bring it to the attention of the public. That was what we felt was responsible for us to do as a political party, and that is what we've been doing. And these are tapes which they procured months ago. Why didn't they bring it out then? Because they were working on doctoring it, and that is why they sliced it, inserted their own versions, cloned it with technology, and what has been released now being 100%, a fake.
On that point, Daniel, please, Sammy B, the NDC and MPP should not think we don't think. This response is an unforgivable insult to our intelligence as Ghanaians. Any sound engineer can tell you that the doctrine claim Sammy is making is not achievable with this perfection. Stop insulting us. Stop this.
I am surprised that that brother of ours will see this as an insult. I, on the other hand, can tell you that any person who has an appreciation of how these things work, any experts in the area of, this, technically, will tell you that this is fake. When I first heard the tape, I said, clearly, how come people are not seeing that this is fake? This is totally fake. It's a doctored tape. So you can subject it to your own forensic, logical audits, and I'm sure you'll come to no other conclusion that the tape is doctored. So our brothers should understand that we in the NDC, we are on radio 24/7 every day, on television, stating our positions on matters of national interest, and we make no bones about our opinions. We stated our position on the partiality and the incompetence of the current EC chair. We've done so. We stated our position on the hypocrisy of certain people in moral society. These are matters of public record that we will never shy away from. But when a tape has been procured through espionage, and that tape has been sliced, pieced together, doctored for a partisan political end, we must come out and say that this tape is doctored. I don't see why.
So explain this to me. Explain this for me, Sammy. Are you saying that none of these words were uttered by your party chairman, or that maybe they were pieced together, different sections of what he said were pieced together, or someone spoke and then a voice was cloned to sound like him? Can we be clear on that? What is your suspicion?
I have not listened to what you played, but what I have heard some media stations play this morning, I can tell you, never came from the national chairman.
So the words were not uttered at all?
The words were not uttered at all by the national chairman.
Okay, since you are referencing what you've heard elsewhere, let me just play you a section of what we have now, and then I'll ask you a question based on that. Hold on.
Vehemently opposed to it. But when WHO has started reflecting on the whole process, there are people who come here, so initially we were angry with you. But you have Chief Atrosoka in our meeting saying, Chief, thank you. I say, why? He said, if you have not taken this decision, I don't know how my men would have gone back to Tamale. The issue is that they had brought the Kandahar boys. And the Kandahar boys know our boys from Tamale. So it was a targeted attack. So once they spot you, they invite them. So they would have done it. And then around that time, people were so defenseless. And they have packed themselves in pickups. And so cordon off and harming them was very, very easy. And they had not anticipated all these things coming. So it hasn't been easy. But for me, how we take the battle from here is most critical. It's a question of mind game that we have come to play. I was here because I thought that I should come and lift your spirit up and let you know that it was not a cowardice decision at all. It was a strategic decision which will benefit us.
So, Sammy, it doesn't sound curious to you that this person pauses like your national chairman. There's breathing in the background whilst he's speaking. It doesn't sound curious to you that the general atmosphere sounds like, yes, he's speaking at a distance, away from the microphone. He didn't add his name, said.
Yeah.
It doesn't indicate that this was doctored.
It is clear that this is doctored. First of all, let me put on record that we don't use microphones at national communication team meetings. There was no microphone. But here in the tape, you hear the chairman speaking into a microphone. That is why I'm telling you that this
he was speaking into a. You believe this was a voice speaking into a microphone?
No, you yourself. I know you've been involved in this industry for a while, and you yourself said that it appears that the chairman was speaking into a microphone.
No, what I said is that he's standing a distance away from the microphone. I was referring to the microphone recording him. So it could be the microphone in a mobile phone, for instance.
Let me just put on record that we don't use microphones there, and the tape you just played and the content therein were not uttered or have never been uttered by a national chairman at any national communications team meeting.
Okay, let's interrogate the content, okay? Were Azoka boys brought in from Tamale to the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election?
Azoka boys?
Yes.
I'm hearing of this for the first time. I'm not aware of anything like that.
You're not aware of what?
Of Azoka boys, having been brought to Ayawaso West Wogon during the by-election, the just ended by-election. I'm not aware of that. Nothing like that happened. If you ask me, I can tell you that as a national communications officer of the NDC, the NDC never brought Azoka boys to Ayawaso West Wogon during the just ended by-election.
It has been repeatedly stated that vigilante groups or militia groups, as we call them now, are not procured or controlled by the party as a body corporate, and that it's often individual members who bring them in. So when you say that the NDC did not, it's in line with that narrative. I'm asking if they were present at the by-election. So it could be that the NDC did not bring them, but were they present? Can you speak to that?
I cannot speak to that because I speak for the NDC. But
Okay.
as somebody who observed the elections, I can tell you that at nowhere did I see Azoka boys at Ayawaso West were gone. And I'm not sure that there's been any credible evidence so far, even if you look at the ongoing short Commission of Inquiry proceedings, that we had Azoka boys within the constituency during the by-election. So that is false, if you ask me.
Thanks, Sami Jemfi, for joining us.
Thanks for having me,
Okay, so hold on for just a moment for me, because before you go, Sami, just before you go, I'm going on the other line now to get a word from Samson. Samson, what do you make of what Sami is saying?
All right, very quick. I'm getting into a very early morning hearing in the court. Now, two important things that he points out that I think you need to speak to. Number one, Sami, the Anas Galamsey investigation you are talking about, I am privileged to know that these investigations started like 3-4 years ago, about 4 years ago. And if you think that it is just about people in the current administration that have been caught, I can tell you for a fact that you're so wrong. I know the information in there, including even the intervention of President Mahama that was sought at a point in time to stop certain Galamsey acts by persons who are officers of the NDC at the time. So let's put that away, and let's not, if that is your emphasis, don't put too much attention to that, because when it is shown, you will see that it is not about just this government or people in this government. Number two, if it is the case that there has been unlawful espionage activities on you as individual of persons, citizens, and officers of a party registered and recognized by law in this country, I will urge that what you ought to have done, which you have not done, you can still do now. By Article 18 of the Constitution, the privacy of your communication, of your correspondence, is protected. And no one is allowed to interfere with same. If persons within government, even security, are interfering unlawfully, then you have a right. The only time when they can make that interference includes a situation where they are spying or recording you in a meeting to prevent disorder or crime. When they are doing it because they have heard that some criminal activity is going on, or that some activity intended to bring disorder into this country is going on, the law allows them to do so. But if they are doing it wrongly, and even if it has to be security that has to do it, look, citizens of this country, in one voice, concerted, fought against the spy bill. I took a memorandum to Parliament, I spoke to the committee, and later the government confessed that it is actually my memorandum that led to them withdrawing the spy bill that was put there. We pointed out that the spy bill had a sinister motive for political, wrong use. Now, even the existing laws, there can be a lawful interference with your communication or correspondence, and that has to be done by an order of the court. If these things are not going on, you guys as individuals and as party and party officers have every right to assert your rights in court against those who are doing so, as you suspect or appear to have evidence about. So please proceed and do that quickly to avoid you being spied on unlawfully. Now, Dan, look, again, let's not play naive. And I know you are being extremely professional to a fault. Let's not play naive. We have had people who are in both parties, the NDC and MPP, confess to they being the persons who sponsor these militias. They confess to sponsoring them. They confess to carrying money and giving them to do what? To do some of these things. Why do they keep them? They keep them for these activities. So let's not play the ostrich and behave as if, something very new is going on, or something that we do not know about is going on. They are in control of these groups of militia that Dr. Kwesi and his colleagues rightly say constitutes the most significant existential threat to this country and our democracy. I believe, and I repeat what I said earlier, whoever it is that are speaking on these tapes, they are not ghosts. The police, the law enforcement agencies should kick into action and indicate to this citizens of this country that we don't pay them for doing nothing, and that we pay them to work, and that they indeed work. That when you analyze the tapes, you can clearly see not less than 10 clear criminal offenses that are being planned and are subject to being punished by law.
On the point of analyzing the tape, Samson, Sammy Gyamfi says it's doctored, it's fake, it should be ignored.
What did you expect? What did I tell you before we started? You expected that you call him to say that these are his people? Well, professionally, you are saying these are reasonably and alleged to be those voices. Let's keep to that for now. But whatever it is, whoever they are who are on that tape, our security must be on top of this game.
Right, let me go to Sammy Gyamfi for his final words before he leaves us. Sammy.
Daniel, thank you very much, and let me thank my senior Samson for those insightful, submissions. On the first one, which has to do with the content of the latest expose by investigative journalist Anas Irene Yawanas, I haven't gotten the privilege that he has had. I have not watched the said documentary, but at least I know that the content of that expose is what formed the basis for the charge petition against the Minister for Environment, who is actually the head of this anti-Galamsey task force, which was constituted by this government. And there's been hints about the complicity of the then Lands and Natural Resources Minister of this government, the Minister of Environment, and so on. Yes, I know that the scope of the work may transcend, the boundaries of this government, but I think we live to see after we watch the documentary. But I think that the biggest casualties, will come from this government and the MPP. But for me, I still believe that the release of this tape this morning, if you look at how it was released and how it is being done, how certain higher ups at the Flagstaff House and in this government are circulating the tapes and all that, it is clear that government is trying to, divert attention from this Anas expose and other trending national issues. Now, secondly, he gives us brilliant legal advice. Thanks, Senior, for the free consultancy. These are all options which we are currently exploring because we believe that government is engaged in espionage activities against the National Democratic Congress, which, as he rightly pointed out, is illegal. And we will go to if we have to go to the law courts to vindicate our rights and to ensure that we prevent some of these things from happening and expose some of these things, we will do so. My surprise, however, is when Mr. Sampson tries to draw conclusions on the basis of the tape he has heard. You think that if these tapes were genuine and if government believed the content of these tapes to be true, they will be releasing these tapes through on my FM, Net2 FM, and media stations, outlets which are more or less, propaganda outfits of the New Patriotic Party? Or do you think that they would have acted on the content of these tapes, by doing what Samson is advising them to do, by inviting the people who allegedly have made criminal statements and all that. Obviously, it is to achieve a certain political end. They don't have any interest to go after people who are engaged in criminality. It is to achieve partisan, parochial interest, and that is why they abducted the tapes. So we still maintain that the tapes are fake, the tapes have been doctored, and they must be ignored. We in the NDC do not subscribe to party militia groups. We have never formed one. We don't own one. We don't sponsor the activities. We don't endorse the activities. And we don't recognize them as part of our party structure. So if he has any evidence that the NDC as a political party is engaged in any such activity, he can bring that out. We stated in the statement we issued on this matter that even though we admit that some individual members, a few individual members of the NDC, even though we admit that few of them are behind the formation of these groups and the operations of these groups, we as a political party do not subscribe to that. We've not recognized those groups as part of our party structure. And that is, in sharp contrast to what the NPP has done related to this matter. So we are ready to cooperate with our security agencies and with all stakeholders to ensure that we nip this dangerous culture of political violence in the bud.
Okay.
And we totally uproot political hooliganism from our body politics. We are committed to that process, and we will never do anything to undermine that. But what is fake is fake. What has been doctored, and the tapes are fake, like I've already indicated, are all fake and doctored. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Sammy Gyamfi, for joining us. He's communications officer for the National Democratic Congress. So many of your messages coming in. Any more, read them.
Okay, this one is from BB North K. He said the sound has not been doctored. He never spoke into a microphone. He spoke a distance away from the recorded device. And if there's an overlay, the background sound would have paused. So the NDC man should know that he is rather putting more damage on them. Sorry, that's from Kofi in Adenta. This one says, Daniel, just send the tapes to independent experts for voice analysis. We can't accept this doctored tapes explanation. These issues border on national security and the safety of citizens. Daniel, send the tape to the AWW Commission. Let them invite Ofosu Ampofo to testify on oath to deny that it is his voice. Then if a forensic contradicts him, he can be jailed for lying to the Commission. BB from North Kaneshi says, as predicted, here we are with this attempt of equalization to divert the issues. But we are sure of only one thing at AWW. Thugs were clothed and armed by national security who assaulted people, and we must deal with it and stop the hypocrisy. This is from Maoli Tamaklo. He said he's not answering the questions directly. Please, where was this meeting held? So BB, this another gimmick, another ploy, another scheme of this super incompetent MPP. It will still not wash. That's from Barbara in Ayawa. So this one says, good morning, Daniel. Please ask the gentleman whether he believed NPP when they said NDC has doctored Mensa Otabil's sermons in 2016. We're discerning listeners and NPP should stop their illegal acts. This one says, so now tell Sammy Gyamfi that on no occasion will the people of Ghana accept any tape recordings from the NDC since we have been made to understand tapes are now doctored. That's from Odame Otre of Abeka. Yao Toklo from Jorulu says doctrine means sound bites of Ofosu Ampofo were pieced together to get this. Is Gyamfi saying these were not uttered by the party chairman? Politicians and taking Ghanaians for fools. He should just discuss something different if he has no better explanation. This one says, you claimed your offices are bugged, yet the voice is not that of your party chairman. What kind of logic is that? Massa, the tape is an original tape, and if saying it's not genuine, let's take them swear at Antwa. That's D from Osu. Did I hear Sami say in this game of politics? So to him, this is just a game, huh? And he means to win. Your party chairman is planning to kidnap mothers and hunt people to create insecurity. God forbid, but if any of these evil blood-spilling politicians touch any member of my family, they will regret it. My advice to discerning listeners, to discerning Ghanaians, please try as much as you can to protect yourself and your families. Ladies, please get pepper spray. The men, you know what to do. A word to the wise. That's from Eric at Nungwa. God bless you for the good work you're doing. I strongly condemn the unfortunate comments made by Ofosu Ampofo for inciting its members against the EC and we're still insulting the National Peace Council. Is this man serious at all? What do you seek to achieve by trying to create mayhem in this country? I'm not the least surprised because that is the best person NDC have as a chairman, a church elder. Indeed. This one says, Daniel, I beg of you, can you put to Sami, if he denies that Azoka boys and Hawks did not come to Ayawaso West Wogon, how come their own boys claimed on national TV and blamed their national officers for not allowing them to carry arms and ammunition to as well to Ayawa? So he should stop this and admit that politicians have two faces, what they say and do in public and what they say and do in private. That's from Ibn in Adenta. This one says, greetings. Okay. Yao in Tema says, Daniel, why do you allow Sami Jenfi airtime to spew out pathological lies? Simple affirmation or denial about the tape turns into 5 minutes of pedantic rhetoric. Kindly tell Sami Jenfi and the NDC to produce the original tapes to put this matter to rest. That's from Prophet Amamu in Spintex. Good morning, Daniel. I'm shocked about what I'm hearing. I think the NDC must bow their heads in shame. If it's elsewhere, Mr. Ofosu Ampofo will resign as a chairman of the NDC with immediate effects. That's from Ben in East Legon. Akosua also in East Legon says, I don't know why you bothered to question Sami. I was expecting a doctor tape response and total denial from the NDC. Efo Maoli says, good morning. I'm very surprised to hear him say that. God have mercy upon us. These people are not leadership material. They're giving the nation a bad name. I'm very sad and disappointed in them.
It's 19 minutes to the top of the hour here on the Super Morning Show. Enjoy 99.7 FM. 0244 340 437 is the WhatsApp number. You can keep your messages coming. You can also tweet at us as Joy997 FM. Go on our Facebook page, Joy 99.7 FM. This matter, of course, will be dealt with extensively in the news and on later Super Morning shows. However, it's time for Corruption Watch, and we are interrogating one of the questions that you heard Samson raise in our interview with him, an issue that we are all very passionate about. Parliament has commissioned research that has shown that it will cost 750 million Ghana cedis to implement the Rights to Information law, if and when it is passed. We interrogate those claims because they have been heavily disputed by one of the people sitting in front of me now, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, head of Advocacy and Policy Engagement and as the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana. I have a number of other guests with me that I'll be introducing to you after this. Stay with us.